Some places are so extraordinary that they seem impossible. A blood-red lake, mountains that appear to float above the clouds, trees unlike anything else on Earth, a giant mirror stretching all the way to the horizon. At first glance, they look like scenes from another world, but every one of these places is real. Today we'll explore 9 locations that prove our planet is far stranger than fiction. The mountains that shouldn't exist. At first glance, this place looks fake. When photographs of these mountains first began appearing online, many people assumed they had been digitally altered. The towering stone pillars seemed to float above the clouds, disconnected from the earth below. Others joked that someone had simply uploaded a screenshot from Avatar. But these mountains are real. Hidden in southern China, Zhangjiajie is home to thousands of narrow sandstone pillars rising dramatically from the forest floor. On misty mornings, the valleys disappear beneath a blanket of clouds, leaving only the tops visible. For a few brief hours, the mountains appear to hover in the sky. The strange thing is that this landscape wasn't created by some ancient catastrophe. It was created by patience. Over millions of years, rain, wind, and flowing water slowly wore away softer rock, leaving behind the strongest stone. What remains today are giant pillars standing like the ruins of a lost world. And perhaps that's why this place feels so mysterious. It reminds us that the most unbelievable places on Earth are often not the result of sudden events, but of millions of years of quiet change. Long before humans arrived, nature was already creating landscapes that look impossible. The lost world above the clouds. An explorer once returned from South America with a story so unbelievable that many people thought it belonged in a novel. He described a gigantic mountain rising from the jungle like a stone fortress. Its cliffs were nearly vertical, its summit hidden by clouds, and its top so isolated that it seemed cut off from the rest of Earth. That mountain was Mount Roraima. Stretching across the borders of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, Roraima is one of the oldest landscapes on Earth. Its flat summit rises high above the rainforest, surrounded by sheer cliffs that make access extremely difficult. For millions of years, plants and animals on the mountain evolved in isolation. Scientists discovered species found nowhere else on the planet, making the summit feel like a forgotten world frozen in time. Standing at its base, it's easy to understand why legends grew around this place. The mountain often vanishes into clouds, revealing only fragments of its towering walls. From a distance, it looks less like a mountain and more like an island floating above a green ocean of jungle. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about Roraima is that it reminds us how little of our planet we truly know. Even today, some of Earth's oldest secrets remain hidden above the clouds. The lake that looks like blood. At first glance, it looks like something from another world. The water is deep red. White mineral deposits line the shore. And for years, photographs from this lake fueled one of Africa's most disturbing legends. People claimed that Lake Natron could turn animals into stone. The reality is less mysterious, but just as fascinating. Located in northern Tanzania, Lake Natron contains unusually high concentrations of minerals. Animals that die near the lake can sometimes be preserved by these deposits, creating the eerie appearance that inspired so many stories. Yet this strange lake hides an unexpected secret. Despite its harsh conditions, it is one of the most important breeding grounds for lesser flamingos. Every year, vast flocks gather here, transforming the landscape with shades of pink. Perhaps that's what makes Lake Natron so remarkable. A place that appears hostile at first glance is actually essential to life. And as strange as this blood-red lake may seem, our next destination looks even less like Earth itself. The trees from another planet. If someone showed you a photograph of Socotra without telling you where it was, you might assume it was taken on another world. Scattered across the island are strange umbrella-shaped trees, unlike anything found elsewhere on Earth. Known as dragon blood trees, their unusual appearance has fascinated travelers for centuries. Socotra lies in the Arabian Sea, isolated from the mainland for millions of years. That isolation allowed plants and animals to evolve along their own path. Today, many of the species found here exist nowhere else on the planet. The island's most famous tree gets its name from the dark red sap that flows from its trunk. Ancient civilizations valued this resin for medicine, dyes, and trade, adding even more mystery to the landscape. Perhaps that's what makes Socotra so remarkable. It feels less like a destination and more like a glimpse into an alternative version of Earth. Yet nature still has another surprise waiting. A desert of white sand where blue lagoons appear and disappear with the seasons. The desert that fills with lagoons. At first glance, it looks like a mistake on a map. A vast desert of white sand stretches to the horizon. But between the dunes lie thousands of crystal-clear blue lagoons, creating one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth. This is Lençóis Maranhenses in Brazil. For part of the year, it looks like a traditional desert. Then the rainy season arrives. Water collects between the dunes, forming countless lagoons that can last for months before slowly disappearing again. From above, the contrast is breathtaking. Bright blue water, pure white sand, and no sign of civilization for miles. The landscape seems impossible because deserts and lakes are not supposed to exist together. Yet nature ignored the rules and created something entirely unique. Perhaps that's what makes this place so unforgettable. It reminds us that some of Earth's most extraordinary wonders appear only for a short time before vanishing once again. The waterfall that vanishes before it lands. Most waterfalls impress us with their power. Angel Falls impresses us with something far stranger, hidden deep within Venezuela's wilderness. This waterfall plunges nearly 1 kilometer from the top of a massive tabletop mountain. It is the highest uninterrupted waterfall on Earth. The height is so extreme that something unusual happens during the descent. As the water falls through the air, strong winds break much of it into tiny droplets. Before reaching the ground, part of the waterfall transforms into drifting mist. From a distance, it can appear as though the waterfall simply vanishes into the sky. For centuries, the surrounding mountains remained isolated from the outside world, inspiring stories of lost worlds hidden above the clouds. Perhaps that is what makes Angel Falls so unforgettable. It reminds us that some places are so vast that our eyes struggle to understand what they are seeing. And while this waterfall seems to disappear into the air, our next destination moves in complete silence, an enormous wall of ice that never stops moving. The living glacier. Most people think of glaciers as frozen and motionless. Perito Moreno proves otherwise. Located in southern Argentina, this enormous wall of ice is constantly moving. Day and night, the glacier slowly advances across the landscape, pushing forward under its own immense weight. At first, everything appears silent. Then it happens, a crack echoes across the ice. Moments later, a massive section breaks away and crashes into the water below. The explosion of sound can be heard from far away, leaving visitors stunned by the raw power of the event. Some of these falling ice blocks are as large as buildings. Unlike many glaciers around the world, Perito Moreno remained stable for decades, making it one of the most remarkable ice formations on Earth. Perhaps that is what makes it so fascinating. It doesn't feel like a frozen object. It feels alive, constantly shifting, cracking, and reshaping itself before your eyes. But if this glacier shows the power of ice, our next destination creates an illusion so perfect that the line between Earth and sky seems to disappear completely. The largest mirror on Earth. For a few weeks each year, one of the strangest transformations on Earth takes place. After seasonal rains cover the vast salt flats of Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, a thin layer of water spreads across the surface. The result is so extraordinary that the horizon seems to vanish completely. Suddenly, the ground becomes a perfect mirror. Clouds appear beneath your feet. Mountains seem to float in empty space. In photographs, it becomes almost impossible to tell where the sky ends and the Earth begins. Yet this breathtaking illusion is created by something surprisingly simple. Salar de Uyuni is the largest salt flat on the planet, covering more than 10,000 square kilometers. Its surface is so flat that even a shallow layer of water can reflect the sky with incredible precision. Perhaps that is what makes this place so unforgettable. It doesn't look like another country or another continent. It looks like another reality, but our final destination may be even more beautiful. A black volcanic beach where giant pieces of ice sparkle like diamonds scattered across the shore. Diamonds on a black beach. At first glance, it looks as if a giant treasure chest has been scattered across the shoreline. Chunks of crystal-clear ice lie across a beach of jet-black sand, sparkling under the sunlight like thousands of diamonds. This is Iceland's famous Diamond Beach. The ice begins its journey in a nearby glacier. Large pieces break away and drift through a glacial lagoon before being carried toward the ocean. Waves then return them to shore, polished and sculpted by the sea. The contrast is unforgettable. Black volcanic sand, blue ocean water, transparent ice glowing in the sunlight. For a few moments, it feels less like a beach and more like a work of art created by nature itself. Perhaps that is the lesson hidden within all the places we've explored today. The most extraordinary landscapes on Earth were not designed by architects, artists, or engineers. Given enough time, nature creates wonders far beyond anything we could imagine. And somewhere on this planet, another impossible place may still be waiting to be discovered.